So, we're just going to dive right into this because I don't have a lot of time. That's right, I'm a procrastinator. I should be doing my homework and cleaning my room. But I'm not. I'm catering to you lovely viewers. You better appreciate it. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. Iron Man 2. My first impression of this movie after I came out of the theater was kind of eh. Not like an eh, which means that was like horrible, but then again, not an eh that means it was okay. Because there were some aspects of the movie that I did really like, but there were other aspects of the movie that I detested. Seriously. I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of Iron Man. I would say of all the Marvel superheroes, he's probably my favorite. Just because he's badass, I guess. I don't know. But, so, yeah. I guess partially the reason that I didn't like it, well, I'm just going to say because I like some of it, but I'll get into the part first so you can hear the good stuff at the end. The first thing I want to talk about is the pacing of the movie. The beginning of the movie, obviously introduced the villain first, which the villain was pretty cool, which I'll go into when I talk about characters. But it started out, and it had a pretty good go. It was going good, and then a really awesome action sequence, which was really cool. That was the best part of the movie, was this one action sequence. And I'm not going to give away too much, but it was the part with the car, where he's racing the drag race car, or whatever. That's not really giving anything away since you saw it in the commercial anyway. Plus, it's pretty late. This review is late, so most of you probably already seen the movie and are just looking for other people's opinions. So, the race car scene was probably the coolest action sequence in the film. It was visually appealing. It was very energetic. You saw kind of how the villain worked, kind of how he would do stuff, and it was really cool. So that aside, you keep going, and you get like little twists in here and there. A ton of characters are introduced. I mean, there has to be at least 1, 2, 3, there's a good number of new characters in the film that we've never seen before in the first film. We may have kind of hinted at them, but it's nothing huge. But there are tons of characters, and that throws a lot of people off. It threw me off, because I'm like, okay, you've got this character, this character, which story are you going to follow? But basically what they did was, they didn't follow one person's story, like, hardly at all. It was the girl. I think her name's Nicole? Probably Nicole, I don't know. But she's like the, person who comes in the beginning, who we see. And at first you're going to think, oh, she's like a rival of Pepper. But in the end, you don't really see that much of that. So they kind of didn't really develop her story too much. They just kind of threw her in there, which is something I don't really like. Because one thing I don't like about movies is when they put characters just to have characters. Just like put them in there for the sake of having a character. I think that was kind of a poor choice on their behalf. Then you got big black general guy who's head of the whatever Avengers thing, which I don't really know too much about, so I'm just gonna not upset any Marvel fans out there and say that I know something about it, because I don't. But they only brushed the surface on all of that, and then you've got the villain. They did a pretty decent job going into history about the villain. The villain was pretty cool, but not enough. Then you have this other character who works for the government, or something of the sort, or some branch, I don't even know. Just shows you, when I really like a movie, I'll remember almost everything about it. I hardly remember anything about this movie. Nothing was really memorable, except maybe that race car scene. That was it. Where was I? Pacing. After we got off on the character thing, which is important, which I'm not going to go back over since I already talked about it. So you keep going with the movie, and after this little twist, it kind of slows a lot. It slows down to a point where it's almost like I'm gonna fall asleep here. And I hate that. I just do. I mean, it kind of throws the whole point of going in there and watching a movie if you're just gonna fall asleep in the middle. And it's Iron Man. You're like, oh my god, it's Iron Man. How do you fall asleep during Iron Man? You fall asleep during Iron Man when they put a huge, slow, gaping hole in the middle. Where it's just like, when is something gonna happen? Nothing ever happens. And then, like, you get a little twist in the story again, and you get thrown back into the action. But it doesn't end with a bang. The final action sequence was pretty cool. I agree. I liked the final action sequence, but it didn't wow me. It really didn't. I mean, I wish I had seen more of Tony and Pepper's relationship, because that was one thing I loved from the first movie. The fact that it wasn't just all about action. It had a really awesome story in it. It showed you kind of how he became the Iron Man that he was. I'm like, that's awesome. I thought that was great. Plus, he threw in the Pepper and Tony love story. And their relationship as it built in the first movie was really good. And I find this to be the case with a lot of sequels. You'll get a movie that's really awesome, and you expect the second movie to be just as good, but it hardly ever is. Sorry, the people in the other room are going to think I'm insane because I'm talking to myself. Crazy me. Anyway, like, what's an example of that? What's a movie that had a sequel that wasn't as good as the first one? If you have, like, any, like, ideas of what one of those movies may be, put it down there in the little comment box section, because I really want to know, because I know there are a lot of them out there. Disney movies do that a lot. Animated Disney movies do that so much, and it's annoying. And this was kind of an example of that. Now, I'm not comparing it to a Disney movie, I'm just saying the sequel was not as good. The wow factor was missing, there was the gap in the middle, and the fact that the characters weren't developed enough. The only thing that I'm going to give this movie real true credit for is the action sequences. Because I did thoroughly enjoy the action sequences. They were like, whoa, that's really cool. Other than that, there's not much else to talk about. Except the new guy for Rhodes, his friend. They got a new guy for him. I liked him. I'll give him credit because he did a really good job at bringing his character. It wasn't such a distinct difference that I was like, oh my god, they got the wrong guy for this. He can't even act like him. He put his own little thing in it, and it worked fine. So, I mean, that guy did a good job, in my opinion. Other than that, that's basically it. I think, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this movie a 7.5. This is the lowest I've ever given a movie, but it's true. I'm going to give it a 7.5 because it didn't wow me at all. Okay, shave off the 0.5, I'm just going to give it a 7. Because I didn't really enjoy it much. That's about it. Sorry, everyone. No flaming, because flaming's bad, and it's just my pointless opinion. So, if you can disagree, you get your own pointless opinion. I guess I'll see you later, so bye!